to save Prime Minister Modi's chair at the expense of sacrificing the dharma of federalism that they have decided to boycott a high-powered meeting chaired by the Prime Minister on economic matters. In fact, viewers, the Niti Aayog, under the rubric of the Niti Aayog, this meeting has been called to discuss the budget and the path forward with all chief ministers by the Prime Minister, who in fact is the chairperson of the Niti Aayog. Not just this, the opposition chief ministers and political parties have also been protesting at the Gandhi statue in Parliament and have disrupted the Houses of Parliament. Now, the opposition, as I told you, has a problem with what they call a pronounced bias. They claim that infrastructure demands from other states are ignored, that the union budget is a kursi bachao budget, and that the budget is framed only to please, or rather appease, BJP's allies, in particular two, Nitish Kumar and Chandrababu Naidu. Now, viewers, here in their own words is what the opposition leaders have been saying. And you can see on your screens those words of the opposition leaders. Listen in.
जो कल बजट पेश हुआ, उस बजट में किसी स्टेट को कुछ नहीं मिला और सबके थाली खाली और दो के थाली में पकोड़ा और ये अपना जिलेबी, ये दो छोड़ के किसी को नहीं मिला कुछ।
हम सभी लोग जितने लोग हैं और खासकर समाजवादी लोग, किसानों को एमएसपी मिले, आय दोगुनी हो, उसका रास्ता निकले। लेकिन इधर देखने को मिल रहा है समर्थन मूल्य किसान को न मिल करके जो अलायंस पार्टनर जो सरकार बचा रहे हैं उन्हें समर्थन मूल्य सरकार दे रही है। ये तो अखबारों में भी छपा है। क्या मिला यूपी को? डबल इंजन की सरकार, तो डबल लाभ मिलना चाहिए था, दिल्ली का लाभ, लखनऊ का लाभ। लेकिन लगता ये है कि दिल्ली अब लखनऊ की तरफ नहीं देख रही है, या लखनऊ वालों ने दिल्ली वालों को नाराज कर दिया। उसका परिणाम हमें बजट में दिखाई दे रहा है।
The same accusations have been made by the Chief Minister of Bengal and the TMC MPs. It has been made by those in the opposition in Maharashtra, across the board, and of course the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, Mr. Stalin. So are the accusations borne out by facts? Is it true that Modi's NDA has been discriminatory towards Maharashtra, for example? Here are some hard facts that list the projects which are worth a whopping rupees 36,000 crores. Yes, viewers, let me reiterate that number. 36,000 crores inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Maharashtra just this July, days before the budget. Here are some hard facts. Let's get into the details. You have the Thane-Borivali tunnel project. This is worth 16,600 crores alone. Then you have, viewers, the Goregaon-Mulund Link Road, the GMLR project. This is worth 6,300 crores alone. Then you have Kalyan Yard remodeling, a project that is worth 812 crores. Then you have the Gati Shakti multimodal cargo terminal. Then you have the new platform at Lokmanya Tilak terminus. Now, this is to provide new platforms that will be able to accommodate more trains. You also have the Mukhyamantri Yuva Karya Prashikshan Yojana, which was announced. All of these were announced in March. And all these three schemes put together are worth 900 crores. All these three schemes. And the Mukhyamantri Yuva Karya Prashikshan Yojana is worth 5,600 crores on its own, viewers. And therefore, it comes to a whopping, as I told you, 36,000 crores. And this was just given a few days before the budget. Now, viewers, I leave it to you to judge whether the budget should have either, for the sake of sounding platitudinous, repeated all these schemes that are going to only build infrastructure, or perhaps focused on other areas, given the fact that Maharashtra already has its pockets full. Now, viewers, let's look at another state. In Bengal, the TMC is having a massive meltdown because the state wasn't mentioned in the budget specifically by name. In fact, its MPs have been protesting by the Gandhi statue in Parliament, and the Chief Minister is also boycotting the meeting. Again, the hard facts will be on your screens, viewers. And they reveal that Bengal too has been bequeathed many projects in the last quarter. There is the Kolkata Metro's Howrah Maidan Esplanade Metro section. This project was inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi on March 6, 2024. March 6, viewers, 3 months back. The total project cost is rupees 4,965 crores. Then there is the multiple development project worth rupees 15,400 crores. 15,400 crores. These projects were inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi on March 6, 2024 in Kolkata, again on the same day. Then there is the 344-kilometer long product pipeline. This project is worth rupees 1,300 crores and was inaugurated by Prime Minister Modi on March 5, 2024. This will traverse from Paradip in Odisha to Haldia in West Bengal. Another Chief Minister skipping the Prime Minister chaired Niti Aayog meeting is Tamil Nadu's M.K. Stalin. But the hard facts show that Tamil Nadu is never far from the Prime Minister's mind. Never mind, viewers, the several visits to the state. Never mind the fact that the day after the election concluded, the Prime Minister spent 2 days in Tamil Nadu meditating. In March this year, the Prime Minister inaugurated a historic power project set to boost electrification in the state at the cost of 5,000 crores. And we are talking about the prototype fast breeder reactor, the PFBR, in Kalpakkam. Viewers, this will contribute 500 MWE or 1250 MWth prototype electricity for the state. Finally, on the charge that allies were favored by the NDA to save the Prime Minister's chair, we did some research to discover if the Congress-led UPA government was guilty of practicing everything that it accuses the NDA of today. We decided to analyze UPA budget speeches to see if Congress FMs favored alliance partners in states like Bengal and Tamil Nadu to the exclusion of, let's say, a state like Gujarat, where the BJP's Modi was Chief Minister. The hard facts show that when it came to Tamil Nadu, the state found mention in UPA budgets whenever the party at the state was an ally. The moment the DMK exited the UPA, the state was not mentioned in the union budget. The takeaway throws up a question. What does this say about selectivity of the UPA, viewers? The moment you cease to be an ally, you are forgotten, or your state is forgotten. Many would think that that is some kind of retributive punishment. Then there is another hard fact, viewers. The state of West Bengal was also mentioned in UPA budget so long as TMC was part of the ruling coalition. So allies always extracted their pound of flesh under the UPA, and let's not forget that under the UPA you had a separate railway budget, and the rail mantri was Lalu Prasad Yadav for lengthy periods of time. And you will remember that the rail budget almost became a gravy train, where projects were given to states either where elections were due or, friends and viewers, where allies were in power. In fact, there was lobbying, hard, intense lobbying, and there used to be quarrelsome fights if any state that was part of the UPA alliance or ruled by a party that was part of the UPA alliance, to be absolutely factual, was left out. Here is another hard fact. The UPA budget stopped mentioning Gujarat altogether from 2007 onwards. Incidentally, 2007 was also the time when relations between Modi and Gandhis had deteriorated visibly during the campaign ahead of assembly elections. Here's a takeaway. Was UPA also guided by political instincts in budgetary allocations? Viewers, is today the stand that is being taken by the opposition with regard to the NDA budget merely political, or is it principled? You've heard some of these hard facts. Let's open this up. Let's put this out to debate. Viewers, let me begin with Dr. Anand Ranganathan. And let's get him straight as somebody who is looking at this exercise as a layperson. Dr. Ranganathan, I put out a set of hard facts. I don't expect anyone here to take them at face value, but I would believe on the back of these hard facts that there is some politics going on here, and it is petty politics. I'm willing to stick my neck out and make that charge.
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to my fellow panelists. For the umpteenth time, I hate you for doing this. You kill the debate by giving hard facts first up. A, it kind of ruins a couple of hours of my time because then half the facts that you gave, I have been preparing. And B,
sorry about that.
It kills the debate because how can you argue against hard facts? But nonetheless, I will try my best. I apologize. There are 3 points I'd like to make. The first, I want to show you this chart. I hope your viewers can see this. This is where from does the money come and where does it go? This is the budget that has been accrued and distributed. Now, here you can see, if you can read very clearly, that almost 50% of the money that is distributed to the states plus the interest that is paid on the loans taken. 21% is the state's share and 9% is the finance commission that again disburses to states. So when 50% of the money that of the budget is given to states, and over and above that, I'm sure no opposition party will have any objection to 8% of the budget going to defense, 4% of the budget going to pensions. So almost 65% of the money that India has is distributed to states plus given for interest plus defense plus pension. Where is the issue? Why are we playing politics? Nonetheless, having said that, Rahul, and here I come back to the data that you presented. Yes, politics will be played. Yes, there is truth on both sides. It is a fact that preferentially 2 states have been given more money than the other states. Of course, Odisha has a very legitimate claim, and more than the South, I would say, because it is one of the poorest regions of the country. And yesterday, Biju Patnaik actually told the truth that if at all there is a state that needs more money or protection from the center, it is Odisha. So there is truth to that. There is also truth to that the other 27 states haven't got the kind of funding for the schemes that they were expecting, that over and above Bihar and Andhra Pradesh have. 2 very brief points here before you move to the other panels because they're also meeting. Number 1, you're absolutely right. Even I was doing the research that you have brilliantly shown first up, is that during the so-called coalition dharma years of the UPA, all the coalition states, in fact, till 2013 when the DMK pulled out, they were preferentially being even mentioned in the budget, leave alone the funding that was given to them. So yes, UPA was playing politics, BJP is playing politics. But above and beyond that, I want to take one point. When Andhra Pradesh was carved out, it was said that for the first 10 years, Hyderabad can be the capital. You know, the state of Andhra Pradesh, poor Andhra Pradesh doesn't have a proper capital. Amravati, when Chandrababu Naidu said, I need 35,000 crores to build this capital, it will be amongst the top 5 cities in the world. He lost the elections. The World Bank pulled out. According to an estimate, $7 billion is required for Amravati to even be seen as a proper capital. We have a bona fide state of this country, Rahul, that doesn't have a capital to go to. So obviously, I don't know why people are playing politics over this. Andhra Pradesh, like West Bengal as Kolkata, Maharashtra as Mumbai. I can turn around and say, Chandrababu Naidu can legitimately say that only 15,000 of the 49,000 crores has been given. Where is the rest of the money going to come from? Slowly. So you have to build something. There is a legitimate claim for building a proper capital of a state.
So let me open this up. I think Dr. Ranganathan has put this very lucidly. I think he has brought out the inconsistencies and has pushed us towards viewing the opposition's stand and concluding that they are playing politics. So Abbas Haider, you're from the Samajwadi Party. We just heard Akhilesh Yadav ji, who is of course the supremo of your party, saying that Uttar Pradesh ko kuch nahi diya. Now let me just tell you, just a couple of months ago, 14,000 crore projects, 14,000 projects worth over 10 lakh crore. 10 lakh crore have been inaugurated in Uttar Pradesh. 10 lakh crore to bhai sahab, if tomorrow Bihar got, Nitish Kumar would in 8 reiterations, reincarnations would not quit the side of the Prime Minister. Let me tell you this, वो तो फेविकॉल से भी तगड़ा जम जाएंगे. अच्छा, multiple rail projects worth around 8,200 crores. Chalo, they didn't stop at the fact that they are giving 10 lakh crore worth of projects. They said, okay, और भी डाल दो 8,200 crore, 8,200 more crores. Okay, that also proved insufficient in the Prime Minister's imagination. So he said development initiatives worth more than 34,000 crores, inaugurated, dedicated, laid the foundation stone of multiple development initiatives. At Azamgarh in Uttar Pradesh, just in one place, 34,000 crores, sir. Okay. What more does Uttar Pradesh want? Double engine Sarkar is delivering to Uttar Pradesh. You should be asking the fundamental question, not कि हमें कितना मिला budget में. The Prime Minister could easily have told the FM कि भैया ये सब जोड़ के वहाँ लगा दो नाम के वास्ते, at least it will be read out, सब खुश होंगे. No one will single us out. But I want to ask you, sir, if 10 lakh crore worth of projects has been given, 8,200 crore, 34,000 crore, that itself, my maths is my weakest part, so 42,000 plus 10 lakh crore, that's 10 lakh 42,000, 50,000 crores has been given in just a couple of few months ago. You should be asking कि भैया implement कब होगा? दे दिया मगर पेपर पे ही रहेगा.
Rahul bhai, let me tell you, even the Jewar airport, which is getting constructed.
Sir, I'm talking about the projects that have been given to you, sir. Are you saying that I'm lying? Are these hard facts wrong?
Sir, this is an announcement government. They can announce anything.
Now you change the goalpost. Live on television, my dear friends, they've changed the goalpost.
Projects, no, they need to tell us which projects are getting ready on the ground. Even the Jewar airport, it's next to you. You can check, Rahul bhai, at Jewar airport, the land, because of the money is not being, compensated. It's not being disbursed to the farmers. It is not getting done. So this is what has happened. This was in the economic survey, day before yesterday's economic survey. See, the budget is something which should address the problem of the country and give solutions to it. But the current budget has not given any solution. You talk about the healthcare budget, it was 86,000 crore, and only 79,000
Viewers,
crore.
the Jewar, one second, the Jewar, sir, 1 minute. The Jewar airport is going to be operationalized in October 2024. Okay. The first phase of the airport is expected to be completed by March 2025. I'm giving you facts, viewers. Here are the hard facts. Testing. The airport will be completed for testing in the next few months, in the next few weeks, in fact. Operations. The airport will become operational for traffic by October 2024. Now,
Sir,
if on October 2024, whatever date that is being, after consulting all the star signs, etc., is going to be decided, if it is not inaugurated, you can come here, Abbas Haider, and say, bhaiya, it has not happened. The expressway linking airport to Faridabad will be opened by December 2024. Now, hang on. You made a couple of charges. Your Chief Minister says, kuch nahi diya.
I have not made my point.
No, one second, Haider Saab. 1 second, please listen to me. I don't want to get into an argument with you, sir. I respect you too much. You come very researched. I'm only asking you. You heard your Chief Minister. He didn't talk about ki bhaiya, wo paper pe reh jata hai, they don't deliver on time, like you are making that more nuanced point. He said simply this, nothing was given to us in the budget. So I took you back 2 months before the budget, when the campaign was at its height. And so many projects have been announced. A budget is also, sir, a place where you announce, right? You don't implement, you announce. You say, hum inko itna de rahe, inko itna karenge. this person or this particular project will be given this much money. We are committing a budget of so much, allocation of so much.
No, I agree with you. This
So
is
then if you agree with me, where's the debate?
Time from the allies like TDP and JDU. This is just an announcement. This is not a budget. This is a gimmickle budget. Like the usual, BJP type. Nothing more than that.
Okay,
And second
Dr. Ranganathan is putting out something. Let's ask him. Gimmickry.
I just want to say this. Since yesterday, a lot of politicians from Tamil Nadu are saying that we give so much tax and we get so little in return. These are facts spoken by the finance minister, who said we have given more to Tamil Nadu than we have received in tax collections from them. So Tamil Nadu's tax collection in the last 10 years have been 6.2 lakh crores. The center has given 7 lakh crores to Tamil Nadu. So there is no discrimination per se, but if you want to play politics, then be my guest.
Dr. Ranganathan, let me tell you, when the Prime Minister visited the state 10 times before the elections, when he inaugurated a large number of projects, when he spent time in certain temples, they said, Dekho bhai, he's come here to loot your votes. Loot your votes. Now he's not given anything in this budget because he's given a lot before the budget. Now they say we are ignored. That Tamil Nadu is no longer considered part of the Indian Union. So you've got to make up your mind. Be a little more consistent. Ab aap hi mujhe bataiye, sir, you're a Congress leader, Vivek Bansal, and you're smiling. Because even you know that, at the back of this, it is politics, isn't it, sir? Come on.
Rahul, I had been very raptly, listening to whatever you had to come forth with in support of the budget and this present day regime. And coming out with facts and figures, definitely, which appears on the face of it very lucrative and substantiate your point of view. But let me tell you, you said that in UP and you cited examples that PM announced these SOPs or these development funds were allocated or announced by the PM. So that was with keeping in mind the elections. That was to attract the voters. That was to get the votes from them. And now after the fact the results have come out, he is highly disappointed with these states. Okay. So nothing. And as far as announcements are there, definitely we would like to see that how they are translated on the ground. And along with it, there are so many things. You see, the fact that hello, let me, Ranganathanji, we had been listening, we had been all whatever you had to say.
No, he's not interrupting you. I think there's an audio problem, sir. No one is interrupting you. Bansal Saab, kisi ne interrupt nahi kiya.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, wrong number like that.
Rahulji, sorry, I take back my words with all due apologies. So let me just say, and in all the first of all, the fact that so much has been allocated for employment, it negates the argument of the government, which they had been repeatedly reiterating that so much employment has been generated. Okay. And the fact that this they have accepted subsequent to the demonetization, MSMI had been ruined, which were providing substantive employment. First of all, they have to acknowledge
what is your point? The point is today that politics is being played, or you're taking a principled stand. What is the point?
No. Politics is not there. Politics is everywhere, Two people on the road, if they talk about government and all, that is politics.
Okay, so now very quickly, viewers, let me tell you, what is their grouse? Their grouse is that a state like Bihar, that a state like Bihar is getting a little bit of a...
China today appears to be all the budgets have been percentage-wise. Defense should have been our priority. Defense
should be the priority.
It has come down. We want to face China. China, who is encroaching upon our land, who is making illegal constructions there. We have to face them. So budget should have been.
Budget should have been about this. Budget should have been about that. Budget. Okay, 1 second. Do you think that we have trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars to play with? Anyhow, viewers, prioritization happens in every budget. Let's not reduce this to a farcical level. I want to bring in Tuhin Sinha, but just before that, I want viewers to focus on one or two more hard facts, viewers. In the budget, the government has decided to go ahead with a scheme called Purva Uday. Now, what is this Purva Uday? Means East rising. The East must rise because, viewers, the eastern states are the ones which are resource rich but are actually the least developed, they have the least amount of factories, and therefore their productivity is very low. For example, in the number of factories, the East has only 19,000, the West has 77,000, the South has 91,000. The source is Annual Survey of Industries. Please check it out yourselves. Now, if a region like Bihar, like Bengal is being singled out so that it can rise, they can have the infrastructure they need to employ people, how are they being ignored? I don't understand. Tuhin Sinha, a quick response to what you've heard. And let me ask you very bluntly, was there optics at play, political optics at play, by only mentioning Andhra Pradesh and Bihar because you wanted everyone to know how much you're doing for your alliance partners and also wanted them to feel a little exalted in the company of others?
Modi government does not work under any compulsions, and I think in the last 40 days, all the decisions, whether it was the cabinet formation or any other decision, has proved it.
Okay.
If those two states were mentioned, there was a genuine need for those states, the investments, and especially when it comes to the development of the capital city of Andhra.
Okay.
It was a long pending issue which had to be settled.
Well,
like
friends,
I mentioned,
look,
29 states cannot be mentioned in a budget.
Let's discount what Tuhin
correction
is saying. Let's discount a little bit of what Tuhin is saying. Look, viewers, budgets as well as politics, they are not exactly working in isolation. So, if we begin to accept this as a principle, that there will be signals in budgets, after all, viewers, a large number of times experts such as you and others, academics, will look at budgets to see which section of society benefited. And if it is some of the most backward classes or castes, then it is seen as welfareism, as the distribution of states' resources, as social justice. So let's be a little more considered in the way we approach it. Let's not get sidetracked by these petty issues. We're going to take a short break. Two very important and big names will look at whether this budget can actually do what it professes to do. Right after this, don't go away. You're watching the Hard Facts, viewers. From Parliament to TV studios to social media to the street, everyone seems to have an opinion on Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's budget that she presented yesterday. Many people believe that the budget is too conservative, others believe that it is visionary. The truth, viewers, needs to be decoded. And we're going to get you two perspectives. Raghuram Rajan, ex-RBI governor, is going to join us and talk a little bit about his view. And Professor K.V. Subramanian, Executive Director, IMF and former CA, is going to give us his perspective. Perhaps the twains will meet. We'll have to wait and see. But let me first go straight across to Mr. Raghuram Rajan. Thank you for speaking to me, Mr. Rajan. Let me begin by asking you some questions straight off. Look, please, straight into the camera as I ask you these questions. Mr. Rajan, top-line numbers, as announced by the Finance Minister yesterday, appeared to be very sound. The budget keeps the fiscal deficit down, projects a shrinking of primary deficit, and yet keeps capex high. Tax GDP ratio is also on the up. Would you agree then that we're poised, as India is poised to grow at 7% GDP from here on?
Well, I think the growth and budget issues are different, right? This is a conservative budget. It tries to do all that it needs to do within a framework of fiscal consolidation, and certainly at first glance seems to have achieved that. We are narrowing the fiscal deficit. That's a necessity. And at the same time, some of the objectives that the government has, such as maintaining the capital expenditure program that it has initiated in the past, and in fact expanding it somewhat, as well as paying some attention to some of the issues brought up in the elections, such as joblessness, which has also been highlighted in the economic survey. I think it's tried to deal with some of these. So there is, from a bond trader's perspective, there's much to like in the budget.
Okay, well, the budget is being commended for recognizing the limits of seeking to meet the unemployment or inequity challenge entirely through SOPs, reveries, or welfare measures. It says that we need to pivot away from that direction. This is obviously to be welcomed. Would you agree?
No, I would say that where the budget falls short is in laying out a much more ambitious plan to tackle the issues of employment. Let's be frank. India is in danger of wasting its population dividend. And we have a window of about 15 years to essentially, take advantage of that population dividend. But with the job creation levels at where they are, there's a risk that many of our youth enter the labor force and don't find work, and therefore we don't get that growth boost that many other Asian economies got when they were at our level of per capita income and with our demographics. So when I see the measures, I think they're in the right direction, no doubt. But I think of them as small relative to the challenge that we have. And when you look at, for example, the measures ABC in promoting job creation, first, we have no idea whether they will work, whether they're sufficient to get firms to actually bite the bullet and hire more people. And second, there's no sense that we're going to experiment and potentially put more funds to work. It's in the tradition of here's a 5-year program to do this stuff, but we need far more intensive work here, looking at how we can bring measures to increase employment, which implies both skill building, but also incentivizing firms, especially in employment-intensive sectors, but also monitoring progress. We've had so many skill building programs which haven't worked. Why didn't they work? What have we learned from them that is going to make these new programs work? I think there are lots of suggestions in the budget, but I have no idea how they will play out, and I have no idea how the government intends to make them work.
Okay, well, look, we'll talk a little later on the ALI scheme and is it enough to create the jobs? But I just want to continue from where I left off in the previous question. What I'm trying to get at is that the budget signals a pivot away from conventional thinking that governments must adopt the path of high growth with relatively low focus on employment, so long as the growth gives the resources to offer substantial welfare schemes. Now, this approach still, it appears to me, governs thinking in the states, opposition or those that are ruled by the ruling regime. Do you think that opposition ruled states now need to perhaps rein in this instinct? For example, some opposition parties are still insisting on special status, for example, for some states, which is code really for soft saturation. Have we come to that time when we need to move away from that thinking?
Well, I think the message from the election was that people are clearly, they will take the sops you give them, but they also want to be independent. They want to stand on their own feet. They want good jobs for themselves, for their children, and they're frustrated because the system doesn't seem to be providing that. And you can see with the pressure on admissions, with all the scandals on NEET and so on, that this is also showing up in admissions to high quality educational institutions. I think you're absolutely right that, both at the center and at the state government, we haven't paid enough attention to the public provision of services like education and healthcare. And even in this budget, you don't see an expansion in the amounts devoted, for example, to education. It's not a central subject alone, but you would think that the center would devote more resources to this very important need, especially given that going forward it talks about much more research and development and intellectual property creation. It has even set up a fund for that. But if you don't fund your high quality educational institutions, bring more teachers back into it, bring higher quality teachers, we're not going to make that kind of progress. So what this budget seems to be doing is paying attention to the areas that are needed, but without a grand plan of how we're going to move forward. And that's where I say the resources that are being devoted seem relatively small compared to the needs. For example, our needs on education, from the kind of furor you see on the streets, are much higher than what governments, both at the state and the center, seem to consider. There are some states which have done a lot of human work on education, the Delhi government, for example. But we need many more examples of this if we are to succeed.
Pointedly, let me ask you, do you believe that those canvassing for special status for states are missing the woods for the trees? The government has thus far resisted this demand, even when it's come to its own allies, Andhra and Bihar. It has wanted to sort of create resources or raise resources for schemes that deliver infra, for example, so it doesn't come without conditions. Now, do you think this is the right approach, and do you think ultimately we should move in that direction, and states that are demanding these sort of special status, etc., should sort of also give up on this?
Well, I think it's understandable politically for states that have political sort of leverage over the center to demand more. And special category states is one way of getting that in a way that is less tied, where the funds are less tied. And of course, the center believes that it knows what is best, and it wants to tie the funds that it gives and basically say that, okay, if you invest in infra, if you invest in this or that, you will get the funds. This is going to be, this is going to go on for the duration of this government because it does not have a majority and depends on these parties until such time as it can, it can get more internal support. So I think that we're going to see this play out. I mean, there is a key issue which will be on the table over time. Should the states be trusted to figure out their development plans, or does the center have to determine those development plans for the states and just fund what it thinks are appropriate? And it's going to be a back and forth. It's going to test the issue of fiscal federalism.
So moving away, obviously, from the politics and the compulsion, do you think demanding expensive special status schemes or packages, or call it what you want, to actually work?
Well, I think the states would want them, but I think that is going to create resentment amongst the states that are not so privileged. And, this is a quagmire in the longer run if every government is going to pay off the states that it relies on for its support. I do think that we need some principles. We tried to devise some principles in the past that some of the states that were backward economically speaking, so long as they showed signs of broader progress on broad measures like economic growth and the welfare of people, they should get more funds, which they should spend as they choose, because they have shown progress in the right direction. And since we are a union of states, and since we don't want states to fall behind significantly, it's in every state's benefit if everybody else grows. Some fiscal packages are warranted, but of course we have to make them based on clear principles rather than on these guys are supporting my government.
Now, the budget hopes that employee incentives will create jobs. Do you think the ELI scheme will work?
I don't know. I don't want to dismiss it. I just think that we've had so many schemes, including skill building schemes in the past. What we need is a way of experimenting quickly, monitoring, trying to see what works, and expanding that much more. I would hope that we would learn from the experiences of different states that have such schemes. Tamil Nadu, for example, has some schemes on training young engineers in software, for example. But we can take best practices from the states, but also experiment. And as we learn what works, put more funds into it. Now, does 3,000 rupees a month in terms of support for your EPF obligations, is that enough? I don't know. Let's see how this works and be very careful about measurement. I think one of the concerns I have is that we have not measured how things have happened. Perhaps a little scared of what we'll find if we look at how expenditures have panned out.
Now, how many marks? I mean, I hesitate to ask, how many marks will you give the FM for her effort, or what is the adjective you'd use to define this budget?
Let me not purport to be a professor. She's not a student. She's a very experienced finance minister who's steered the economy for some time. What I would say is the budget does well in maintaining fiscal conservatism, and I think that deserves a lot of credit. However, I would say that given the challenges the economy sort of now has before it challenges that were revealed in the election outcomes, I think that we have to be much more ambitious in the kinds of actions we take, and we risk by being cautious, sort of underinvesting in many of the areas that need investment today if we are going to maintain the kind of growth that we need. And that, to my mind, over caution is as big a sin as over aggression in these times.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to me, Raghuram Rajan, and giving us your point of view. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Let me go across now to Professor K.V. Subramanian, Executive Director at the IMF and former CA. Just to give you a bit of a background, Mr. Subramanian, we've just spoken to Raghuram Rajan. He has his point of view, and therefore let me frame the questions in the backdrop of what he has basically said, or his assessment. Mr. Rajan believes that the budget is too conservative in addressing the big challenges like employment and reducing equity. Do you share that view, or do you have a counter narrative there?
Rahul, I think the budget, in my opinion, is quite ambitious. In fact, if you look at the emphasis on employment creation, and I've always maintained that employment is and high quality jobs, these are the ways to reduce inequity in our society as well, because jobs lead to far more inclusive growth. Not only do they enhance consumption, but at the same time, they also are very critical for social and economic inclusion. So in that perspective, the emphasis, which is unprecedented on employment, is something that is welcome. I would say that among the many packages, among the six-pronged approach that the Honorable Finance Minister has talked about, I am far more convinced that the incentives that are being provided to the employer will work. And I say this based on the evidence that we've seen for the Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana, Atmanirbhar Bharat Rozgar Yojana, and the previous Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana that was done, COVID and pre-COVID. If you look at the evidence on the Atmanirbhar Bharat Rozgar Yojana, that actually created a good amount of jobs. Last count, I think about 20 lakh jobs saved them. And I think that's clear evidence that when you give incentives, and in this case, it was given through the EPFO contributions being taken care of. I'm actually waiting to see how the incentives given to employees will work, because if you think about it, the binding constraint really here is on the employer side, not as much on the employee, because the employee certainly wants to get employed. But I think in terms of the emphasis, I actually do not think it is conservative. If anything, I feel that this is actually ambitious enough, and I'm really glad that this has been put on the agenda, through the budget.
The massive debate raging on demand for special status. The government has so far resisted giving in to these demands. Mr. Rajan, we spoke to him, believes that these demands have to be accepted on the back of government not actually enjoying a majority. What is your view? Do we have to just live with these demands and perhaps at some level entertain them?
So Rahul, here as economists, I actually am absolutely convinced that we need to be speaking equally consistently with respect to center and states. We cannot be differentiating, one rules for the center, one rule for the states. I think a lot of the reforms that have to be done by the states. If we look at a state like Karnataka, or even what is happening, possibly in Telangana, I think Telangana not as bad, but Karnataka is certainly bad. The freebie culture that is being created, and I think the economic ruins that it is leading to, economists like us actually should be calling that out consistently, irrespective of whatever our political preferences are. I think, I would equally say what has been attempted in Maharashtra, for instance, is not something that I'm supportive of. It is far better to create assets rather than give freebies, because the creation of assets actually leads to far better outcomes. And I think what better evidence than what we've seen in a state like Gujarat, or in a state like Madhya Pradesh, where consecutively chief ministers have demonstrated that by doing good, economics, they can actually convert it into good politics. I would like to highlight here that I think the lacuna seems to be in some sense the inability of the political leaders to communicate good economic ideas. If we look at the Honorable Prime Minister, he has been a very good communicator, and therefore he has been able to translate that good economics into good politics. Of course, one has to take into account the fact that the recent elections, there were some reverses, but over a more than 2-decade period, it is actually demonstrative of the importance of good communication. Just because some of the state leaders do not have the ability to communicate, them resorting to freebies is not something that I approve of. And I, in fact, call upon my colleagues in the economist community to be fair in judging these, rather than actually letting their political preferences decide some of these aspects.
Well, time for honesty. Time for honesty, viewers. Time for honesty. The first part of this show exposed some of the political motivations behind the critique of Nirmala Sitharaman's budget. This one was this side of the fence. We sort of discussed a little more in depth from a qualitative and more informed perspective what the budget actually sets out to do. We leave it at this. Anand Narasimhan with the right stand.
We stand for Network 80s Project 1.3.
I stand in support of Network 80s Project 1.3.
CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand, coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studios. My name is Anand Narasimhan, and first up, ladies and gentlemen, according to a recent report by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, and the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, Bharat is likely to have the highest per capita income growth in the world at 5.4% per annum during the 24 to 33 period over the next 9 to 10 years, allowing it and other emerging economies to drive global consumption of agriculture and fisheries products over the next decade. In a big boost to